guys, what's up? It's Joe Raiti from Raiti's Rides. We are here at the 2025 edition of the Detroit Auto Show, and Ford has brought something to really surprise and excite those that are all about Ford performance, and of course, to help celebrate 60 years of the Ford Mustang. It's this vehicle right here. This is a special prototype of a car that is going to bring extra performance. What are we talking about? We're talking about the second time in history working with another manufacturer to actually produce a vehicle on the Ford Mustang assembly line. This is the Mustang RTR. But before we get into this turbocharged Mustang, let's talk about what's going on here. So when it comes to performance, everybody thinks Mustang when you're thinking Ford. And what's interesting is that most people would just automatically think of a V8. But there's a lot of other performance that can be gained from other displacement power plants. Of course, if you know anything about driving performance, you would know Von Gittin Jr. He is that two-time Formula Drift champion that has basically worked together for over a decade with Ford and his drift vehicles. Like I mentioned at the start of this video, this is the second time in history where Ford is now going to partner with another manufacturer. They're partnering with RTR to assemble this vehicle on the assembly line and make it available right at your Ford dealership. Obviously, the first Mustang to ever do that would be with Carroll Shelby and the Shelby GT350, GT500, and the rest of those models. Now, when it comes to turbocharged performance, Ford is no fool when it comes to that type of setup, and the Mustang has actually had turbocharged power plants going all the way back to the 1980s. The Fox body era of the Mustang, the SVO, had a 2.3 liter turbocharged engine. It put out about 178 horsepower. It's crazy to think now what the EcoBoost engines are producing horsepower-wise today, and this one is gonna have even more. So what I wanna find out is this gonna be a worthy muscle car performer, a sports car performer with the RTR name attached with the Mustang EcoBoost? Let's go ahead, let's dive into this prototype and find out. Right off the bat, you're gonna notice that special RTR wrap to kind of hide a lot of what's going on. And that's the exciting thing about this being a prototype, is that yes, you're gonna see a lot of this when it hits the dealership showroom floors, but they're actually gonna bring small bits of information, and they're trying to hide things that are right here out in the open with the wrap. And this wrap was designed by Von Gittin Jr. So kind of cool to see his special touch. Now at the front end, you are gonna have those RTR specific LED daytime running lamps right around the nostrils. That is gonna be specific to this Mustang RTR, this EcoBoost RTR. And remember, if you look at the previous generation, there was a high output. The S550 platform, there was an EcoBoost high output, which we'll talk about that in a second. But at the front of the business, you'll notice that traditional tri-bar daytime running lamp, the LED lights, love the wrap. And then as we kind of rise up from that area, underneath the hood, the most information that we have is that there is an EcoBoost engine underneath the hood. Still a lot of mystery when it comes to horsepower, but you are gonna find more horsepower, more performance in braking capability and suspension capability, because what you're gonna discover is that with this car, there is going to be parts taken from the mighty Dark Horse and the Mustang GT. Now, as we come around the bend, talking about horsepower, so your standard Mustang EcoBoost, that 2.3 liter turbocharged engine, has 315 horsepower. If you go back to the early days of the Mustang in the 1960s, people would give their right arm to have 315 horsepower out of a V8 powered Mustang. This standard EcoBoost is 315. Now, the high output had 330 horsepower from the previous generation, the S550. And of course, if you are a fan of the mighty Ford Focus RS, you would know with that 2.3 liter EcoBoost power plant, it was putting out 350 horsepower. So my guess is you're gonna find 350 horsepower or more. I'm gonna say 400 horsepower out of that turbocharged power plant. Von Gittin Jr. did let something slip last night when they displayed the vehicle, an anti-lag system. If you know anything about turbocharged cars and turbocharged performance cars, this car is gonna feature an anti-lag system. So that's something that's gonna be interesting to see how that boosts performance. Now, as we come around the bend, like I said, it's gonna have certain suspension pieces from the Dark Horse, certain bracing, and of course, the MagneRide suspension. Now, when it comes to wheel and tire, you're gonna get these specific RTR wheels. It actually has the RTR name embossed in the wheel. Love that flat titanium gray finish, V-spoke design. This is a 19-inch wheel, and then we have those electric lime 6-piston Brembo calipers. Those will be available on the RTR, and that will be an easy way to tell that this is a Mustang RTR. Second time in history where you're seeing this happen from Ford. It's wrapped with these Continental summer tires. And if you're wondering, well, Joe, what is the size? Up front, you're looking at 255 on the width, 40 series sidewall, like I said, 19-inch wheel with the increased braking capability and suspension bits. Because when it comes to performance, it's not just about horsepower, it's about the total package. And what's fascinating is that with this being a 4-cylinder turbocharged engine, you're almost looking at a perfect 50-50 weight distribution because there's less weight hanging off the front of this vehicle. And Von Gittin Jr. did a lot of the development work with the Ford engineers to make sure that this car is gonna handle and allow you to do the things you wanna do with your Mustang RTR. Very interesting, this cooperation effort that they have going on. Now, as we come down the side, of course, like I said, that wrap looking really great. You can see the RTR badge, normally where you would see a 5-liter badge or a high output badge. That name has become synonymous. Just like Shelby is synonymous with performance with Ford products, RTR is also associated with that. Now, coming down the side, everything else is going to be your standard Ford Mustang affair on the S650 platform, and that's not a bad thing. Working at the rear, you'll notice that we have those Brembo calipers. And if you're wondering, well, Joe, what's the size of the wheel and tire package out back? So we're going to have the 255s out back, 40 series sidewall. Of course, we're going to have that electronic limited slip diff to get the power to the ground. And then the other big question mark is what is going to be the transmission? Because as you know, if you get an S650 Mustang today, an EcoBoost, it only comes with a 10-speed automatic. Will a manual transmission return to the EcoBoost platform? That's another big question mark. Also, when you think of suspension bits, it's not just shocks, it's also sway bars. So you're gonna find thicker sway bars on this Mustang RTR. You're also gonna find structural bracing to stiffen up the chassis, just like you would find on the Dark Horse. Now, as we come around the back, I love the way, almost fell on this sign here, I love the way that they did the rear spoilers. So this is something, like I said, looks like it came right off a Mustang GT. You have your V-style pedestal in the center, and then I like the way they wrap the edges around. Of course, you're gonna have, just like on the wheels, that gunmetal titanium gray finish on your Mustang badge. And then working your way down to ground level, we are gonna have a quad tip exhaust. My guess is this is gonna be the Ford Performance exhaust. Make it louder, make it quieter, special modes, special traction control, and this Mustang RTR is gonna have the drift handle. So your drift e-brake, which we showcased that with the Mustang GT many months ago when we first drove the Mustang GT out in California. Now, I'm gonna pause here for a second because I got something special. Actually, Lori has something special for you. We were at the official launch of this Mustang RTR last night here at the Detroit Auto Show. Let's see what Von Gittin Jr. looks like when he's zooming around in this Mustang RTR. Let's check out that footage. guys, I hope you like that footage. Lori really got herself perfect in position to show the action of this Mustang RTR, especially with it being a prototype and especially with it being first seen here at the Detroit Auto Show. Definitely want to thank the whole Ford team for allowing us special access to get on the turntable, get as close as possible. For now, there is going to be more information to come. What's going to be underneath the hood? What is that interior going to look like? And then of course, at the end of the day, that first drive experience. But until that happens, if you're new to the channel and you're on your way out, hit that subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile. Come back for more. If you are a subscriber, think you're being part of the Raise Rise family, got to give it up to LGR. She worked this show like a champion. Every car to perfection. She is amazing. Thank you, Lori, for all that you do. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.